Hello amazing ghouls and humans, and I'm so happy to see you again. And it's been so long ago since I last recorded the YouTube video or whatever on the doll topic, but as I'm studying in another country and my dolls live in my parents' house, it is quite impossible to just do something with this. But anyway, as I'm back home, and this time for probably a longer period, I'm still not sure how it will be, I decided to try and one more time return to online live. This video is quite spontaneous. I wasn't even sure about the topic till the last moment, and after, when I was kind of reorganizing shelves a little bit and doing dusting here and there, I came across Haunted Claudine, and I was kind of, well, it's very difficult to fit it in her box on the shelf, and all my other haunted dolls, they are unboxed. I also got a prototype of one of the haunted dolls, so very soon, hopefully, I will make a big photo set of them, and of course for this I need to have Claudine unboxed. This doll is also quite special for me because she was a gift from my very dear friend. For this reason I was keeping her in box for quite a long time, because again, like, for me it's always a debate whether I should unbox a doll or not, because they look so cool in the box, but I quite struggling with the space, and I also like to interact with my dolls and to have the full collection on the shelf. So for me it's either having a full collection in the box or having a full collection out of the box. And most of the time out of the box win, because, you know, getting them now is much easier than boxed ones. But I mean, about this Claudine, the box is not very special. It's one of the last types of the box, so where there is a lot of plastic and less design, so I'm not really in love with this type of boxes. For me it's more painful to unbox old Monster High dolls. While unboxing it, I was thinking of maybe talking with you. I'm, to be honest, doing this without any scenario, so I may say some weird stuff here, but I hope not to. I hope to keep everything normal and choose normal words. And I'm already not sure how to open it, because even though I'm opening it, I try to keep all the kind of things that keep doll in place. I forgot the word. So if I want, I will be able to put her back in the box safely, and I'm not sure if it is possible here. Probably yes. And talking about my life, well, the last a year and a half were such an experience. I'm trying not to say that it was all negative or all positive. It was just a year and a half that created a new person out of me and made me to realize and reconsider a lot of things in my life, and to try a lot of new stuff too. It was kind of a very sharp way out of my comfort zone, and as a neurodivergent person I quite value my comfort zone, so it was even more valuable experience probably. At least now I'm afraid less of all the stuff that was threatening for me, for example, like bureaucratic and like documentational issues, because when you're alone in a new for you country and you have no one to help you, probably also because you can't really ask for help, it gets incredibly difficult for you to do stuff. And sometimes you just get into so many issues, and especially when you are so naive and really trust to other people, it can get very tricky. Like in this a year and a half, I was, well, robbed on a street. First time in my life attacked, scammed on almost 3,000 euros, and got into much more interesting situations. Well, lost all my documents, had to deal with a lot of fees and fines that some of them I still don't know why I got, because you know, in Finland you get something, and even when I went to bank to pay for this fine, they were like, we don't know, maybe you need to contact the kind of the company that gave you this fine. And I checked where they have their offices, and they were in another city, so I basically paid the fine but never had time to check why it was issued. So yeah, and basically like living alone, experiencing new culture that you thought was similar to you, but basically turned out to be completely different. And I mean, it is completely fine, because well, I studied, basically I still study in Finland, and Finland, it's a very unique and very interesting country. I would describe it as a country with a very strong character. It's very much not for everyone. It has very strong characteristics, and I now understand a little bit why it is so isolated, not from the outside, but more from the inside. And now I understand why so many people, for example, choose it like the start point, but in some years they leave. But with this, some people, they fall in love with this country and basically understand that this is their perfect home. For me, it is very hard to say how I feel about it, because I both really like it, but with this, it is incredibly difficult for me to live there in some very important for me ways. And these ways, they are also very unique. Like 99% of you, I'm sure, will not have the same issues as I have. Because for me, these, like for you, these issues, they can be very small and very like unimportant. But for me, they're basically building the the base of my personality. I don't really want to go into details here, but yeah, I just wanted to ramble and to feed time while I'm unboxing the doll. So now I'm kind of in the situation of reconsideration my life. I am still not sure what to do, because basically all I feel now is a huge exhaustion. Partly because of the worsening health problems, and overall, I guess, outside situation, like the pressure from your parents, the pressure from, in a way, society. Just the feeling that Finland and me sadly will not become best friends. Finland, if it would be a person, it would be a person who I probably would really respect and be very interested in. You know, like this mysterious, very cool, introverted person who you like see, and he or she, or they look like a character. They are so interesting, they're so unique, and you just look at them. But when you start talking to them, you understand that they are so cool, but something just don't click. And you understand that even though they are super nice, even though they are super cool, you will not become a kind of long-lasting friends for their entire life. And I mean, again, like, this is completely normal, because people are different, countries are different, situations are different, personalities and kind of disorders are different, and what is very important for one person will be absolutely not a thing for another one. And for example, when I was talking to my sister about why it's so difficult for me to kind of stick to in Finland, and why I kind of feel like I can't really see myself in this country for a long time, and it's more taking my energy than giving me energy. And she was like, well, what you're saying, it couldn't be a thing, like you're wrong. There should be much more important stuff, like there should be something more serious to say that you want to maybe transfer to another country, or like at least get a gap year. And I was like, well, maybe, but with this, I don't know, I just feel this way. And yeah, it is, again, I don't want to go into details, and this is not a video about my time in Finland and my life. It's more like unboxing and trying to fill in the time. But yeah, still. So now I'm kind of thinking whether I need to get a gap year. Probably I will. Whether I need to just get a gap year, get some strength, fix my health a little bit, because now it's quite in a bad situation, and return and finish the university, or maybe I need to transfer somewhere. I'm not sure. Like, it's still a process. But another thing, I guess, is that I realized that I, again, the second time in my life, made a mistake with choosing the course. Because basically, both of times when I was applying to the university, it wasn't really like just my serious adult decision. Like, the first time it was purely the decision of my father, quite strict and quite egocentric person. So he was just like, you're going to study IT. And like, I adored Finland. I still do, but like, I really wanted to get to know it better, so I chose this country. And I applied to university, and I got into the IT university, basically one of the very good ones, Metropolia. If you kind of connected with Finland, maybe you know about this university. But the COVID started, which put all of us on the, you know, remote work, and provided us with so many psychological, sometimes physical traumas. And I was just entering the university, and the first week of the university, my mother is being hospitalized with very bad COVID situation. My father is having COVID too, and he's an alcohol addict. He starts to drink. So I'm alone with abusive, heavy drinker, with COVID, and mother being in hospital in questionable condition, and I have remote studies. I can't go to the university because borders are closed, and I still don't have visa, basically, because of the COVID situation. It takes longer time to kind of issue visas. And to say that it was dark times, it is nothing. I've been studying and I've been doing my best. And to be honest, studying online is very much easier for me. And I'm very glad that I studied online at that point. But another thing about the online studies is that with online studies it's much more difficult to find friends, to create any connections. So, like, after a year of studies I had no friends. I was very depressed, and I felt that this education is really not for me, because I wasn't really interested in this thing. I mean, I did things and I quite succeeded in it, but my dream since the beginning, it was to be an artist. I mean, I write books, I write poetry, I illustrate my books. I have my own universe since I was like 10 or something. And I started writing poetry when I was 3. So I got a gap year to reconsider my life. But mostly it was not even because I was not interested, because like, try to say to my father that I'm not interested in something, you will just, whatever. I got a gap year because COVID restrictions were still on, borders were still closed, there were no trains. Before COVID there were trains from Moscow to Helsinki, direct train. Everything was cancelled, and the only way you could cross the border was on the bike. And imagine like me being 18 years old, crossing the border on a bike, going the first ever time abroad, like alone, and needing to somehow bring quite a lot of stuff for surviving, you know. And fun fact, I don't know how to ride a bike. So, like, it was impossible. We were told that the second year education will be offline, so we have to be on campus. You can't participate online anymore. And we were like, well, we're taking gap year to just see how it will go, and hopefully after this year restrictions will be off and I will be able to finally go to the university. And during this gap year I realized that, oh my god, I don't want to return. And again, like, my health got worse. I still had a lot of work because during COVID I started to be heavily invested in our family business. So I didn't return to studies, but I did a very interesting move, basically, because secretly from my father I started to apply to art degrees, also in Finland. And basically my mother and I, we had the plan of fooling him, saying that I'm returning for IT, but I would go for the art degree. I got accepted to my current university, and I was accepted on the program of design. Oh my god. So we got rid of the blister with no damages. Great. So I was accepted on the design program, and when I was doing the entrance exam, there was basically about drawing and creating collage. And I was like, oh my god, this is exactly what I need, because, you know, design, dolls, doll design. I kind of had this dream of maybe kind of being a doll designer or package designer, or somehow connected to doll design. And I'm quite well in sketching, drawing. I can't really say that I'm enjoying it, like the process, but I'm quite enjoying the result I get. It is not something that I hate, let's say like this. And as the exam was fully about drawing and like creating collages, oh my god, I adore creating collages. I thought that design, it will be more like more theoretical and more overall. Like, okay, it will be fashion design, but maybe it will be more about the history of fashion, like creating something super crazy, super like innovative, futuristic, you know, like we see on podiums. And when I first came, like the first half a year or so, we really had quite a lot of drawing lessons. We even had like very brief academical painting and drawing. And the first half a year I really enjoyed these studies. We were also like recycling and remaking our clothes, sewing like 2 things, and I was like, oh my god, I found my place. I was really enjoying. But afterwards, with time, we were mostly concentrating on sewing. You know, like sewing with machines, like on machines, on different types of machines, on different types of threads and like fabrics and all this stuff, and less on the design itself, less on the creative part, let's say like this. And I know that for probably most of the people who go to study like fashion design, it is probably what they're looking for. But for me, who was going to study overall design, it was kind of a little bit not what I was looking for. And again, it is absolutely not the guilt of the university. This is only on me that, again, like I was making the decision too quickly. I saw that it is like marked as an art program and it has design, and I was like, yes, it will work out. It did not. Another thing is that sadly it really affected poorly on my health. Like at first I thought that okay, I will feel better in Finland health-wise, but there were a lot of things that I never thought about while living with my parents. For example, that it is very important for me to have a normal public transport system, because here I never even thought of being late somewhere or waiting a bus for 1 hour. I mean, if I was feeling bad, for example, health-wise, but I had to go somewhere, my mother would drive me and it would be fun, absolutely fun. But there, the transport situation is so bad that sometimes like there is one bus in 1 hour and there is no connection with, for example, upcoming train. So you need to be super careful to go somewhere. And even like sometimes you will get into the situation when the trip that, for example, with the car would take like an hour and a half, for you it will take 4 hours, because for example 2 hours you will just wait for your bus or for your train. And it was quite uncomfortable because it meant that I need to walk all the time, because for example, as I was late for the bus, I had to walk like from the train station to my apartment or to the university for like 3 kilometers. And like on some days that's completely fine, but sometimes my health just don't really let me. There were some situations, for example, when I would fall sick, I would end up without any food in my fridge. To get in the shop, I had to walk for at least 20 minutes. And of course, when you have high temperature, you can't do it, so you're just like chilling without food. And you could say like, you probably had something in your fridge, you probably had something in your freezer. I have an eating disorder and things are quite complicated with me. So yeah, health-wise it was quite sad. Not to be absolutely negative, because my experience was far from negative. It was just difficult, and it was very educational, let's say like this. I am joking that I learned more from just being in Finland than from university. And I mean, I learned a lot in the university. I've made incredible friends. 2 absolutely incredible friends with whom I stick so well that now we are literally thinking of some very crazy projects. But that's still process. I made one more incredible friend who sadly lives quite far away, and with whom I am also thinking of making crazy projects. I've got a lot of energy, not physical. My physical energy is like on the 0 level now, but mental energy. Energy to be yourself, to work on my well-being and prioritize my well-being over, for example, well-being of people around me, because, you know, this rule of the safety mask on the plane. First, you need to care about yourself. Only when you are safe, you can help others. And I learned about life overall, about how to rent an apartment, about how to live in a small town, because like when you live in the center of the capital of the biggest country on the globe, you don't really think of some things. And when you go into the small provincial town, you have to think a lot of those things. Even the public transport situation, even like the products in the shops, just like things to do, places to go, like everything. You have to think of it now. How to study, how to organize study. You think it's easy. In fact, you can face with problems that you would not think you will face, like getting to your university again if you live, for example, in a bigger city, because afterwards I moved to the capital, to Helsinki, so I had to travel to my small city, and it took sometimes 2 hours, sometimes 2 hours and a half, whatever. Organizing studies when you're neurodivergent, when you have zero understanding of time. Organizing your life when you're neurodivergent, when you are so dysfunctional, and when it is so difficult for you to just do everyday stuff. And before you didn't really notice it, because you would rely on your mother, and it was like so natural, so quickly, so soundless, let's say like this. And now you have to do it, and you find yourself alone dealing with all this. So yes, a lot of life lessons. Again, like communicating with people, asking for help. Before these studies, I would never ask for help. No one. It was like I would rather eat a worm than ask someone for help. Here, I had to do it because otherwise I would not go anywhere. Again, having the horrible situations with people, when basically people would use me, people would be not very nice to me, and I'm still in the process of understanding this, I guess. To wrap it all up, I'm still not sure if my story with Finland is over or it is just kind of on the pause. And when I was moving to Finland, it was also like quite spontaneous, I should say. It was, I can't say I was burning the bridges, but at that point, I kind of hoped that I will not live in this house anymore. Because to be honest, this house is a very traumatizing place for me. It is very, very old. It is basically deteriorating. My father is this type of person who doesn't really care about the conditions where he lives. Like, he can put a tent and this will be the best house ever. He doesn't care. My mother, he is quite, let's say, codependent. She, even though she has her desires, even though she has her dreams, but she is like standing behind the father all the time. Sometimes it's to the point when we talk with her, she holds one opinion, and after, when she talks, for example, with me and my father, she takes the opposite opinion, she takes father's opinion. So it's like this. And I was in the position when I didn't want to be here. Like, I still don't want to. This place still makes me to be incredibly depressed. Like, the dolls, this is the only thing that keeps me afloat, to be honest. And I was literally like escaping, almost escaping. The thought that I kind of, again, need to reconsider everything. Immigration didn't went according to my original plan, which is, again, completely normal. It never goes. It is always very difficult, and sometimes people are changing up to 5 countries till they find the one that is like their best friend. So yeah, and I think that, like, no matter what is your situation, the main thing is not to feel guilt. Even if you have to return, or in the opposite, you wanted to return but you have to stay. The life, it's so unpredictable. What I also understood about myself is that I really wanted to experience life, because the life lessons, even when you are learning through pain, they do give you a lot of wisdom. I want to experience not one country but several. And I want to experience them not as a tourist, but as someone who is exploring a little bit deeper, because you will never, what I understood, you will never learn the soul of the country if you haven't been through all the way of kind of assimilating and just living for a long period, studying, working, learning language, like renting the apartment, all this stuff. And I really want to study somewhere else, at least just for experience, for comparison. And I know that some people do this, but most of the time they have EU citizenship. I don't. So for me it is a bit more complicated, especially nowadays. But anyway, I think that everything is still possible for the one who wants it, who dreams of it. And now I have a lot of issues here at home piled up, like with our family business, with my health, with my relatives, some of them. For example, my granny, who a few weeks ago was scammed on 4,000 euros. Something is going on in our family, like, we're so naive. Yeah, so I need to resolve a lot of issues. And again, I need to think a lot about my future life. But what I know so far is that I got more adult. It's still not very easy for me to live where I live. It's not even country-wise, it's more like parents-wise. When you are 22, you have your own kind of plans, you have your own desires. And when your parents are not very understanding, or like at least one parent, my father, it is quite difficult, because we are like two burning fires, And you know, when you plus one fire to another fire, it gets like catastrophic. Yeah, anyway, let's see how it goes. Still, life is very unpredictable. Oh my god, this year only started. I already learned so many lessons through pain, but I still did. So yeah, back to our doll. I already freed one of her arms and I'm freeing another. And I know that many people, they don't really like this Claudine. They remember her getting a lot of hate during their release time. I kind of always found her fine. Well, maybe when she was released I was just into all Claudine dolls. This is very interesting because all the things that are holding her, they yellowed. Oh my god, it's such an incredible feeling to open an old doll. And even more incredible feeling to realize that this is already an old doll. Not even like the first Monster High, but one of the last G1 collections. Only thing I don't really like about her is that she has this freaking mask around her face. I don't like when Mattel gives monsters this mask. It's never a good idea, but they still do it sometimes. And like, Mattel, please stop. Maybe you will think of something else. Something, but not this mask. It looks horrible. But anyway, as this is the unique release, as the dolls are ghosts, we will forgive her. By the way, this line was one of my favorite when they were released, because I really like translucent and transparent things. Like, if there is something translucent or transparent, I for some reason really have some weird love to it. For example, I always do my nails with translucent details, like tips or some areas. I don't know why. And I remember when I was seeing Spectra the first time, I was so in love. Like, Spectra, she looked incredible for me. I mean basic Spectra. I couldn't even believe that her legs and arms are real. Haunted, we literally get the entire line of translucent dolls, or dolls with transparent details. And especially River. Oh my god, River! When I saw her, I was in love, because first of all, at that point I was really into pastel colors. I would hear from my parents that I can't wear them because they don't suit me. But I at least wanted to have a doll in, you know, these candy-like pastel colors. A pastel doll with pastel hair and with transparent legs with bones inside. Oh my god, excuse me, but it is just something. And I mean, even though this line is one of the last G1 lines, the dolls are still so well made and detailed. Like, at least look at Mandala, and at least let's just consider that even the budget line dolls, they all have stands, which is, well, new dolls, even basic ones, they don't have stands. That's horrible, to be honest. So yeah, the head is free and everything else is free. So this is our Claudine with a very messy hair now, but we will fix it. And oh my god, it is so interesting to hold her in my hands. For some days I will still not believe that I freed her. For some reason, when I unbox dolls, for some days I just can't sense that I can now hold them. A weird feeling, I'm sorry. It's already 2 AM, so I'm quite tired, sorry. And let's free the last thing in the box. And the base is freed, so now we can put the stand together. Oh my god, it was the brush. And put a doll on it. And now she is flying, being very not brushed, but we will work with it. So yeah, now I'm really reconsidering how I should place my dolls on the shelves, because I have a horrible overpopulation problem going on. The overpopulation problem is so bad that basically, as I counted, I need the exact same amount of shelves that I already have, which is impossible as, well, my room is not that, well, is not that big. I of course really dream of building a house, and my mother also dreams of it, but at this point it's quite impossible to do. And it is always like, even when I'm changing something on my shelves, I'm still not happy with how they stand, because as you have the lack of space, you need to combine different series, different collections, and it is so difficult to do because they are all so different, and you end up in the situation when you have to create such like risers, which means that the dolls that stay in the back, you just can't see them. And yeah, and oh my god, this GGL fashion, it's just a perfectionist's hell. I'm sorry it's off topic, but we've got each doll having 2 outfits, and I mean the main one, but here we magically got 3, and 2 of them are basically don't really look like Wisp's outfits. I'm sorry I couldn't even force myself to put this outfit on the Wisp, because it's literally Gigi's, and this one, it looks more like, I don't know, Jan Nefera or at least Cleo, but so weird, such a weird set. And they're standing here so randomly. I'm not happy how they stand. I'm not happy with them at all. They still need to get their accessories to complete their looks, but yeah. And Iris, she's not supposed to be here, but she's here because, again, space situation. And yeah, I'm not even talking about this horrible shelf. I mean, I will do something with it, of course. I will kind of place them differently, probably will make the riser too, but still, like, there's too many of them, and I can't find a place where to put at least half of them. And here the situation is even worse, but here are just random dolls which I don't really have as complete lines, or at least semi-complete lines. So yeah, they are just waiting for their hour when they will get the rest of their lines bought. And even though there's still a lot of work, most of the work sadly is impossible to do because of the space situation. I can't make my room bigger, and I physically can't fit in more shelves in it, so I have to work with what I have. And you know, new dolls are arriving. I still need to buy around 30 or 40 of G1 dolls to complete my collection, and even though like 30 dolls, it doesn't sound like a lot, for overpopulated shelves it's a lot. But you really can't not buy dolls, because, well, first of all, your dream and your aim is to collect all of the G1 dolls, and if you will not buy them now, probably you will not buy them at all, because prices are going horribly high. It is more and more impossible to get dolls as a full set, and I'm only buying dolls as a full set. Of course, like, I'm not saying, I'm not scaring you. Of course there will be opportunities, but it will be more and more difficult. Let's be real, it gets more and more difficult to get G1 dolls. I also still have quite a lot of plans to unbox some of my dolls, and maybe it would be interesting to record again like random cool stories, or just talking about stuff while unboxing something. If you have topics to discuss regarding Monster High, Just Doll community, just everything you want to hear, let me know. I'm quite open to any suggestions. So far, like, I really want to record a video about my way of kind of getting to know Monster High, getting into Monster High, you know, nostalgia project. Maybe even several videos about this topic, and maybe just discussing something in doll community. I'm not sure. While I was away for studies, I kind of didn't really follow community that much. I just didn't have any time and energy, and now it's quite difficult to keep up with. And I really want to kind of get back the activity that I had, because I remember those wonderful times when my articles about prototypes were reposted to groups and translated to different languages. At least they were translated in Russian, and I also found a translation on French once. Now I'm kind of a little bit forgotten, in a way that I sometimes kind of feel like no one remembers me anymore. And I mean, it is fair, because when you fall out of social media, you just like being removed from everywhere in a way. And yeah, I just need to get on track again. Really hope to be able to do it. And I also kind of wanted to speak a bit about the dolls that I'm proud of, and basically I wanted to speak in the video with Claudine, because first kind of type of the dolls I'm proud of is the dolls that came from my friends. Doesn't matter whether it was a gift or I bought them, but for me they are just so sentimentally special. And such dolls, like 99%, I will not give up on them. I will not give them to another person. For me, they just keep such a strong energy. By the most part, we have never even seen each other in real life with these people, but you hold something that they were holding, and it just makes it to be so special. And I don't know, it's just very cool. And another type is, so it is, I love fashion dolls, because for me they are a cool base for creating new looks. They may look very basic, but when you accessorize them and when you carefully choose the doll for each look, you basically create your own very canon, very unique doll. And they look absolutely legit. They look like they were issued by Mattel, because basically they were. But with this, they are one of a kind. And sometimes it took me years to find certain accessories. Some accessories are 3D printed in different color, just to suit this monster. Some dolls, they are still waiting for their accessories, and sometimes even getting the blank doll was a huge. For example, I am so proud that I have Gigi and Wisp, and the Wisp is Comic-Con one, because I really wanted to have the Wisp with long hair, without her hairstyle. But of course I would never restyle my Comic-Con Wisp. And the last and the most obvious part of my collection that I am proud of is my prototypes. To say that I adore them is to say nothing. It's a priceless piece of doll history, and in my opinion, these items deserve its place in a museum. Investigating the information, comparing and studying, it's unbelievable. and just the feeling that this doll was used, for example, for a stock photo or standing at some exhibition, that millions eyes were looking at her, and now she is in your home. Thank you for being with me, thank you for listening to all this, and see you in the next videos.